everyone. My name is Anna,
I'm Ines.
and we are from the CBM team.
Okay, so first, thank you for doing this interview with us. Could you please introduce yourself and then tell us what do you study and why did you choose to study that?
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm studying the International Master of Environmental Sciences at the University of Cologne. I did my Bachelor in Political Science, and I chose to do environmental science because I wanted to learn more about the natural science side of environmental issues and to allow myself to become involved in this field in the future.
Thank you.
So, hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Germany. I graduated in biology before, and now I'm also doing the environmental master, international master of environmental science. Sorry. So yeah, and I didn't want to end up in a lab working with bacteria. So I also wanted to get introduced to all the environmental issues and yeah, educate myself to that point that I can take action in future.
Okay. So today we had a lot of presentations. What topics were like the most interesting for you or the most useful maybe like related with what you study? Like, how can you link the topics we learned today with your area of studies?
So I really like the idea of the trade-off situation. So resources you can only use once. It's always like a thought that seems so simple, but you always have to be reminded of it. So we can only use land that we have on one facility. And yeah, I think that's a really big issue. And so we have to use it in the most sustainable way. The simpler the thought themes, the important it is.
And did you hear something what surprised you, or it was a new thing?
I was particularly interested in the land degradation neutrality, the idea as a whole, and I think it will be very interesting to see how that is used to create policy and to implement the SDGs in the future.
Thank you. Can you imagine in the future that you are working as a professional, for example, in sustainable land management or in land degradation, in the area of land degradation, for example?
I can imagine working in one of that fields as it has to do with one of the environmental issues I want to deal with, problems I want to solve. So I think that was a pretty good look inside these fields and yeah, environmental degradation is an issue and yeah, I'm really looking forward to learn more and to get into that field.
And in terms of, doing activism, for example, not only in professional life, but doing a sort of activism, for example, can you imagine? Or are you participating at the moment?
Absolutely. I am not involved in any organisation specifically at the moment, but I do engage with activism that is going on, and there is a very active scene in the Cologne-Bonn area, certainly.
Yeah, Fridays for Future is really big here in that area. And so I did a volunteering work in the Seychelles on environmental issues, so yeah, I'm a bit in touch with that.
And did you know about the UNCCD before coming here?
Only by name. I can't say that I knew anything much more about it than that it existed.
Okay, so what did you learn today about the UNCCD or like? That's a hard question.
Go for it.
Well, firstly, organisationally, just how it exists within the United Nations and what its role is as a whole, how it came into being and what it continues to do. And I found it very fascinating.
Yeah, also about its complexity and that you see that it's not only one department or one part, that you're always interacting with all the different nations, interacting with all the other organizations you introduced to us, so that you can't separate one thing from each other, and I think that's really interesting and outstanding.
And our last question is, now that also you hear about the capacity building marketplace, could you imagine to do an internship, for example, in the capacity building marketplace or at UNCCD in the organization?
I think I could imagine that, but from my scientific background, I would go maybe more into the direction of the scientific field work. So yeah.
I absolutely could. I would, well, depends whether I was offered one, I suppose. But I would towards the capacity building marketplace, specifically actually, and the work of the UNCCD.
So thank you very much, guys. And hope you see you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, really. Very enjoyable. I'm sure